fires it over the bar. His first point, great score. It's on as far as James Kavanagh. That looks really good. Smashing score by James Kavanagh. His first point of the match. Meanwhile, coming through here and fouled, Mark Brennan from the county champions Balloch Rangers. Very quickly taken inside here. Great chance. What a goal. And it's Ray Finnegan. The wing-back breezed forward and he gets his second ever championship goal. David White plays it back. Johnny Doyle onto the left. Usually a very good two-footed shooter, and Johnny Doyle is the big difference between the teams right now. Andy McDonald takes off past Brian Flanagan. Look, McDonald's shot is over the bar. This is looking like a great night for Louth football. And that is put over the bar. Great score by Andy McDonald. There's the final whistle. It's Louth's glory night. They have beaten Kildare in the quarter-finals of the Leinster Championship. Full-time score, Louth 122, Kildare 116.
We always knew we had that performance in us, so just glad we got out there and got it done on the day and didn't freeze like we did before. So it's a good result for us.
It was poor performance, you know. A lot of regards, when you leak 121, you're gonna suffer. Like to score 116, 117, and not even be within shout distance of winning. Like, it's tough, but we were poor in a lot of areas today. So it's back to the drawing board.
Yeah, so Louth through to the Leinster semi-final, but who would they face? Wicklow or Westmeath? Reporting on a dramatic game in Tullamore now is Robbie Irwin.
Despite losing to Westmeath last year, Wicklow under Mick O'Dwyer had a glorious run in the qualifiers and were marginal favourites to win today, having already beaten Carlow in the last round. Westmeath had the worst possible build-up to today's encounter. Their dismal run in the league campaign was followed by the departure of manager Brendan Hackett, who was replaced just weeks ago by Pat Flanagan. He recalled Desi Dolan and Dennis Glennon to the panel, but Westmeath had a lot to prove today. Wicklow started well and opened the scoring in the first minute with a free from Tony Hannon. It was the first of 5 frees for the Hollywood man, but he also missed a couple. Wicklow didn't score again until the 24th minute, and by that stage Westmeath had 3 points on the board from Martin Flanagan, captain Michael Ennis and championship newcomer Paul Greville. Westmeath were playing well and deserved their lead, although Wicklow were denied on a couple of occasions by brilliant goalkeeping from Gary Connaughton. But his opposite number wasn't so lucky. Mervyn Travers looks like missing the rest of the season after he collided with Martin Flanagan and was stretchered off with a tendon injury to his knee. Westmeath were the better team and Flanagan and co were firing over some well-taken scores, but at half-time they led by just 1 point. That lead was 3 points very early into the second half, with 2 more brilliant scores, and Westmeath looked like they were on their way to a big win. But Wicklow fought back, and 2 more frees brought them to within a point again. But Westmeath looked well in command, and at one stage they were 5 points clear with some really well-worked scores, most of which came from play. This was a very well-contested game, but late on, referee Michael Collins gave 3 players their marching orders for second yellow cards. Wicklow lost Leighton Glynn, while Westmeath were down to 13 as John Gaffey and David Duffy were sent off. They hardly seemed justified. As the game entered the final couple of moments, Wicklow needed a goal to level it, and twice within the space of 30 seconds they hit the bar, with shots from Nicky Myrna and JP Dalton. And then, as the final whistle approached, Wicklow fans were on their feet when Paul Earls fired home what looked like a stunning and undeserved equaliser. The game was level, and extra time beckoned, but up stepped Dennis Glennon, and his recall was totally justified, as he gave Westmeath a late point and a place in the Leinster semi-final against Louth.
I only got involved 5 weeks ago, but I knew the players were there, and there is some very, very good players in Westmeath, quality footballers. And the whole idea was just to try and get the belief back into the whole setup and give them something to aim for.
We had 2 great golden chances in the first half and didn't put any one of them away. I suppose if we had taken points on both of those occasions, it would have made a difference. But overall, yes, I'm certainly disappointed. It's a game that we could truly have won on today.
Fair turnaround for Westmeath now. Leinster semi-final, Colm.
Yeah, fair credit to Pat Flanagan, who only came in 5 weeks ago, and Westmeath didn't win any games in the league this year. I don't know whether they won any last year either. So now they're in a Leinster semi-final. So, you know, great credit to them. A big disappointment for Micko, who had declared that this was going to be his last year in charge of Wicklow anyway. I don't know whether he intends to move on.
Do you think he will surface somewhere else?
Well, I think he's 74 years of age on Wednesday, so he's contributed richly to the GAA over 40, 50 years. You know, maybe he thinks he's done enough, but you know, his enthusiasm.
He could equally be shouting at the telly saying,
yeah,
yeah.
He has such enthusiasm that I would be very surprised that if he doesn't go with some county, that he'll be involved with his own club in South Kerry.
Right. Okay. So well done, Westmeath. They play Louth, and what a performance from Louth last night. You were there, Colm.
Yeah, and it was a great game to be at. There was great atmosphere, great banter on the terrace between the supporters all through it, and Louth kicked some of the best points, you know, that were ever seen in Navan or any other ground. You know, Andy MacDonald and Shane Lennon and Brian White and young Judge, you know, they were just fantastic. You know, it was the performance of a lifetime from Louth. And Peter Fitzpatrick, who's taken over Louth this year, has done a marvellous job with them. And I didn't realise until their supporters were telling me after the game that they haven't even been in Leinster finals for 50 years, since 1960. So, you know, they will be looking forward now with confidence to the semi-final of getting there. To score 1 goal and 22 points, and almost all of it from play, you know, is an amazing statistic altogether, and especially so. You know, the goal that Ray Finnegan got was a candidate for goal of the year. And, you know, you think playing against Kildare with Kieran McGeeney in charge, you know, that he was the expert on the blanket defence and keeping a team to 10 or 12 points. And Louth then went and scored 22 points. You know, all their birthdays came together.
What would you say about Kildare?
Well, Kildare, to me, looked very flat on the night. You know, they didn't have the same hunger. Louth had phenomenal work rate and huge fitness levels altogether. And they're going to be a big threat to everybody. You know, this wasn't a once-off from Louth. They have been improving. I know people looking at the Longford game thought, you know, Louth were poor in that game, but it also shows the benefit of getting a championship match and getting up and running, and they were far more confident and better prepared. Kildare were very flat, and, you know, they seemed to struggle without Dermot early, and when he came on, you know, the injury held him back and he wasn't able to have the same impact. And apart from Johnny Dial up front, you know, they were poor. They took off Pádraig O'Neill, who scored the goal and a point. Strangely took him off early on, and you know, James Kavanagh set him up with a beautiful pass, but there was very little fire in the Kildare bellies.
Interesting you used the word flat, because Kildare were favourites there. Mayo obviously favourites Liam against Sligo, and Mayo seemed a bit flat as well. Is that fair?
Yeah, but the writing has been on the wall, Des, for a while now. We played Meath in the quarterfinals last year. We were 4 points up going into the last 12 or 13 minutes, and Meath scored 8 points without reply. Cork came back within 2 points in the league final and let them walk away with the game. And the same last night. When the game is in the melting pot, when it's there to be won, we have dropped off. And I'd be very concerned now, and I know John O'Mahony would be very concerned with the heart and with the leadership we have within the team now at the moment. It doesn't seem to be there. So I did believe that we'd beat Sligo. I thought we'd enough to beat Sligo, but that's 3 very disappointing performances, especially in the last 20 minutes. In the last 3 big games that we've played.
I wasn't a bit surprised actually with that result, because, you know, Sligo have improved a lot. Won Division 3 of the league. They're an up-and-coming team. And if you wanted to play with any team, wouldn't you want to play with Sligo? Because you know that you're going to get absolute commitment from start to finish. The likes of Charlie Harrison throwing himself on balls. Everybody gives 100%.
Yeah, the only thing about him, there was a lot more subtlety to it as well than hard work and stuff like that. I was there last night, and it was another one to be at. It was fantastic. The atmosphere was magnificent. And as the game was going on, Sligo actually began to believe, listen, these guys aren't great. We can actually go and win this. And